Hey, this is Russell Allen, and I'm on the Dark Melody, man. So honored to be on this show and talk about our tour coming up in Latin America, coming to Uruguay. We cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. You guys are in for a treat, man. You're getting us at a good time. I know we haven't really been there before, or so you're going to be able to see the band in its full force, representing all the, as much as we can of the catalog and the 30 years that we're celebrating as a milestone for Symphony X. So, hey, love you guys. Can't wait to come down and rock with you. Stay metal.
Hey, Russell, what's up?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah, everything fine here. Calling from Uruguay, Latin America.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. My name is Alejandro. I'm from a YouTube channel called The Dark Melody. So pleasure to have you here, man, finally.
Thanks for having me, bro. I love the collection back there you got.
I have everything over here, yeah. From cartoon characters to flyers. In fact, I have a Symphony X flyer right here.
Yeah, I see that. That's cool. That's great.
So you're coming to Uruguay for the first time. March 18th is going to be the date. Fans here are extremely excited. I'm excited as well.
Awesome.
So have you been in Uruguay before, maybe as a civilian or something? Do you know anything about the country?
I don't really, you know what? I don't know. I know it sounds terrible to say, but I did do a rundown there with some friends of mine to promote, it was like a clinic kind of a thing, but I don't think we went there. That was such a whirlwind of a trip. But in terms of the band, I don't believe so. And honestly, after 30 years of rocking and rolling, I'm surprised I remember anything.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm obviously an open book about Uruguay. I'm excited to learn as much as I can on this trip about you guys and your culture, and it's really exciting. I really enjoy this aspect of the job, if you want to call it a job, which it is. To tour to different places and actually get out and see some things and talk to people and learn about the cultures and stuff. That's what makes touring so great for me. The shows, I don't remember anything. I mean, you could tell, I remember when you did this on the stage. I don't remember anything. Stuff. I remember the people I met, the food I ate, and the places, the historic places I've seen. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah, too many shows, too many decades of rocking. So yeah,
it's just like Groundhog Day, we say in America. It's like from the movie where there's this movie in American cinema. Bill Murray's a star, and Groundhog Day, just for you, so your listeners are understand what I'm talking about. He keeps reliving the same day over and over again, and that's kind of what it's like doing shows, because it is kind of you have the load in, and you have the sound check, and you have the show, and then it's back to the hotel or the bus or wherever, and it's kind of wash, rinse, repeat. Certain rooms do have some character that I remember, but most of the time it's just like it's all the outside stuff that I remember the most.
Yeah,
anyway.
That was a great movie. Yeah. So I gotta ask you this. I'm sure you've been asked this a lot, but it's been more than 10 years since Underworld was released in 2015. Yeah. So fans are eager of new Symphony X music, right? So how do you feel about this long gap between albums, and what's the status of the new album of Symphony X?
Well, the gaps have always been there. They got worse and worse over the years. Excuse me. As I think as we've started to, be sort of self-produced in a way. Look, I just built all this. We've been working on everything. So obviously, I'm in the studio right now. And Mike's been working on the stuff for years. Romeo, and the guys, I guess, the problem is that when we stop, it really messes up with Mike's creative process. And he's obviously the guy who's, really the true, musical director, I guess. I don't, how can I say that? The composer of the band, really, it's still a band, but he's the main guy, obviously, on the musical side of things, and the singing stuff, that's my thing. And so the gaps have been worse, I think, as we start to just get lost in what we're doing, and then we have to stop and then start again. And we're just not that kind of band. Mike's not wired like that. He's a real kind of a mad scientist genius guy. He just needs to be locked in his world and not be, because he'll start something, stop, then go back after the tour. I don't remember any of that stuff. That stuff all was shit. Let me start again. So we got about, I don't know. He sent me 10 hours of stuff, for a 55-minute record. I mean, it's just like, I think he makes it, it becomes a monumental task just to weed through all the stuff, and that's kind of where we're at, but he's honed a lot of it in. So we're getting close. And that's where the new album is at now. But this has been a while. It hasn't been, when people got to believe us. And, when we say, hey, we've been working on it, because that's his process. And I'm not one to argue with that. It's not the best business model. You're going to try and make a bigger thing in this business, but who cares about that shit when you guys are there? It's all about the quality of what the fans are going to hear, and that's our legacy, and that's what we leave behind. And so obviously at this tenure in our career, that's what we're more concerned about than a quick hey whatever. But we are going to try and use the time that Mike put in on this one to there's so much good material. I feel we both feel that there's a lot to pull on for the next one. So there shouldn't be as much of a gap. The material's just too good. So it's like, okay, we don't have to, let's just pick out what this story or what this album's theme is going to be. And then we've got all this other stuff. That's great. And it's totally, it's in that Symphony X, realm. And we could definitely use that as a starting point for the next one. So there shouldn't be, I'm not going to make any promises, because every time you say shit like this, it never, something always happens. But in the point that we're at now, that's where we're at. So, I'm not going to apologize to you guys for taking the time. It's nothing that we're sorry for. It's just how we create this stuff. And, just the fact that I'm talking to you right now, or even getting the honor to come to your country and play, I think is a testament to the fact that the band, has the relevance still, and has the respect, and has the fans that want to see us do our thing. Because live, we just crush it. We've been doing great. Knocking on wood. I have a wooden skull, so that's my wood. But
I saw you guys like about a year ago. You played in the 70,000 tons of metal. I was there. I remember that was an amazing show. So I'm sure it's gonna be great. And if the music is good, we don't mind waiting a little bit longer. So I'm sure
we don't want to make you guys wait forever. It's not, it's nothing against the fan, or something to slight you guys. And it's just our process. And it's just what it takes to get it done and make it on a level that we're proud of, to put out. At the end of the day, we got to live with it, so that's kind of where we think about these things. So that's kind of where it's at, but it's coming along. It's really sounding good. I gotta say, it's really awesome. And so we kind of just, we want to get down there and have a good time and celebrate this sort of milestone in our lives and our careers with you guys, and then get right back into it here, because we're not really booking anything else after this for the rest of the year, unless something amazing comes along, another opportunity. But again, that causes problems for this process. So, we're weighing all those things out. I mean, there's really nothing I think that can get in our way in terms of shows and stuff at this point beyond what we're doing with you guys. And so that gives us the entire summer, fall to get the songs, completely finished in terms of like what they're going to be. And then the recording process, is what it is, and the time it takes to do that. But I feel like it's pretty strong that the album will be pretty much, in the can by hopefully the end of the year, if not in the fall. If we get lucky and something just really takes off, maybe a little sooner. Release times, though, that's all label stuff and management. And so they're going to figure out their windows, so.
Okay, man. Looking forward to it. So Symphony X celebrating like more than 30 years of career, right? So looking back, how do you approach which songs are you gonna be in the set list? I think it's Mike who guess which songs are gonna be played each night. So are you including like any rare or less played songs on the set list, or you stick like to the classics now?
Well, the band kind of goes over what we're gonna play, it's not one man's decision. So that's, that's kind of how that works. And you guys can come up with ideas like, Romeo's got a great idea for this one. Hey, let's start with him. That's a great idea. I'll always chime in with like, hey, let's kind of piece this together. And those guys, they get together, we all know what needs to be done now. I don't need to push for, hey, this is a great audience participation moment. Let's put this in the show here. They all know that because they've seen it, so there's nothing for I don't have to, push for anything. I can just make suggestions. The other guys can make suggestions. We all kind of collaborate on what could be great, because at the end of the day, we're trying to put on a good show. And that's obviously our goal. In terms of material, we're looking at, it's a tough thing to put together.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to cover so many albums. And yeah, there's songs you're going to hear that we've played, and that's just the way that kind of the staples, but there's songs that we're going to play that we haven't played in, I don't know, in so long. And for you guys, it's all new. So, it's like you've never heard any of it. So you're the easiest show on the tour,
Yeah.
But it will be a really, good collection of everything, and stuff that I think the fans down there are really going to enjoy. It's really, hard to do deep tracks, on albums like this when you're trying to cover so many records. So there'll be songs we've played before. Obviously, there'll be songs we haven't. And that's kind of what we're doing. So it's going to be cool, man. We're putting it together now. The guys are going to start rehearsing pretty soon. So we'll see how it plays out. But that's the plan anyway. It's just touching the bases on as much of the 30 years catalog as we can.
And that's an amazing catalog, by the way. So, but do you have of the entire Symphony X discography? Do you have some record that's like your highlight, your favorite album, or like a top 3 album?
There's moments on the early records that I love. The first real sort of record I did with the band. I mean, I was on Damnation Game, but I just got in the band and most of the stuff was done. I contributed a little bit on, I think, Whispers and a couple other tracks that they didn't have any lyrics for, I would say, Divine was the first one that I did with them that, I have all those great memories. And like, the Sins and Shadows song when that first dropped and they, I did the singing on that. That was amazing. And the Epic is good. For me, I'm more of Odyssey. I love the Odyssey more. I feel like that's the watermark song for that style of long, song. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Divine was the first time we tried anything like that, and then then Odyssey was kind of where we refined it a little bit more. It had this more sort of epic and symphonic approach, which is something I always push for in the band. And Romeo's just taken that and just ran with it. The shit now is just, I just like, it's like movie quality stuff. I just don't know. He's so much more than a guitar player. I say that in every interview. He really is. I'm not really in a band with a guitar player. I'm in the band with a composer, classical. The guy's just off the charts good at what he does, and it's inspiring to all of us in the band. Just to be great at one craft is great. It's admirable. But for him to really push the limits and go in that direction and understand the intricacies of orchestration and the nuances of it, and be a student of his favorites and really pick up on what they're doing and understand and listen and do it. I know I'm blowing him up here. He's probably, his ears are probably ringing. I'm blowing so much smoke up his ass. But the truth of it is he's fucking awesome. And I'm proud to be in a band with the guy, and he just keeps improving. So, I mean that, after saying all that, the last record is one of probably my favorite and completed things. It's like just because it was a mesh of, it was not a mesh, but it took what we have with the Paradise Lost, with that sort of like really focused sort of direction, and that little more of the energy of Iconoclast and a little harder, and sort of like, was the next progression. So that last record, I really feel, has a lot of strong stuff on it. And Without You is probably one of my favorite songs to ever sing. Just because it just hits me. I can relate to that song a lot. The other ballads are great too. But that one in particular, I've had those moments. I just look in the mirror, I miss the ones I love. I miss my family. I miss my kids, my wife, and I'm out there in the world doing I can relate to that. And so songs like that within the construct of these stories that we tell that are personalized for me always have impact. Same with the Odyssey, to the one that I love, My Journey Has Begun, when our eyes meet once more, there will be peace. I mean, that is so longing for home. Yeah. And I left home at a young age, man, so those are the types of things that connect with me throughout the band's catalog,
Perfect. Yeah, you named, in fact, my 2 favorite albums of Symphony X, that are The Odyssey and Divine Wings. Those are my top 2. And I really love Underworld as well. So I think it's a great way to put it, to focus all the energy of the previous records in the last one. And I think the next one's going to be amazing as well. So looking forward to it. So in the past, you were involved in many other projects and collaborations besides Symphony X. I think nowadays you seem more focused on fewer of those projects. So are you currently considering some new project to participate on, or your main focus is now finishing this album with Symphony X?
Yeah, the main focus right now is this album with Symphony X. I do have other material that I'm working with people right now to release that I recorded last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's acoustic stuff. I mean, this one song I wrote, I'm really trying to, I guess, proud, but it's not really a pride thing. It's about my daughter. You know, she's on the autistic spectrum, and I wrote a song kind of telling her story a little bit, how hard it is for these kids in school and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm just hoping that helps parents and people out there understand what these kids go through. So much of the world is in chaos, you know, and it's been like that for the past so many years with the politics and all this other stuff, which I want nothing to do with. But I do care about the kids. I do care about my kid. And I want to see a better world for them. But right now, I felt like no one's really talking about what these kids are dealing with. And there's a lot of them. There's more and more every year that people don't realize these kids are born with autism. And we had an early intervention. I'm not going to make this a speech about all that. But basically, that song is something I want to put out, and some other things like in that genre that has nothing to do with really Symphony X metal, anything like that, what you're talking about, the past project I've done. And then, you know, go from there. So I'm doing stuff like that, you know. Personally, I'm more interested in things right now that really, you know, sort of like carry a lot of weight with me in my personal life and my personal journey. I still love working with my friends. You know, I did a thing with the Hailstorm guys, and, you know, and I'm working on something right now with some other friends. And these are just guest spots, you know, just fun stuff. I still enjoy that, you know, but on the personal level, I'm really focused on doing things like that. And again, this doesn't really distract me from anything Symphony X is doing, because it's already done. It's a great song. I had my sister sing on it with me, who the world's never heard before. And so those are the kind of things that I'm doing outside of the band right now.
Yeah, perfect. And now that you named Hailstorm, this is like a coincidence of life, but the next week Hailstorm is performing here in Uruguay as well. So next week after you guys. So this is
awesome.
Kind of fate. So
yeah. Well, look, I'm obviously a fan. I mean, look, yeah. I got all the
pirate stuff.
Yeah. It's always been my thing. I've always loved that whole freedom, you know.
Yeah, that's an amazing studio, by the way. Man, is that your home?
Yeah. I just built this like over the course of a year last year, and you know, I had a buddy of mine who was a construction guy, neighbor of mine. I worked for a general contractor here in the States before Symphony X was really, you know, making enough money for me to survive. So I learned a lot, and I highly, you know, encourage anybody out there, you know, young or old, to learn the craft a little bit of you know, building things in your own home, because it saves you a lot of money and a lot of headache, and it's just a great life skill to have. I know I'm preaching like an old man who's been in a band for 30 years. Sorry, kids, but you know, this is like, I have a 15-year-old son. And I'm trying to tell him these things, and it's really hard with this generation, you know, with the phones and technology and everything's done for you. Pretty soon there'll be robots, you know, wiping your ass for you. But the truth of it is, I just really feel, you know, it's important to tell him and people out there, hey, you like what you see? I built this, you know, you could do this. It's more about, you know, I love this a lot. You know, it's building things. That's just my thing. Building studios, records, games. I started building games in Unreal Engine 5. And you know, during the pandemic, I started learning how to do that. So I've always been like a closet engineer. That was what my dad was, you know, and my uncles and stuff. And so it's in the blood. So that's kind of a thing I've always been into. But yeah, built this place, and it's been great so far. I love it. It's my little sanctuary in here. I had the studio at the old shed, you know, behind my house, which people had a lot of character, but it wasn't built like this. I did the math, and this is all, you know, acoustically sound and put together the right way and everything like that. The other place I could just be like a vocal booth, you know, pretty much. This is a full-on control room / vocal, whatever I need it to be. You know, I have an ISO thing back there. I can record all sorts of stuff here. But yeah, so that's what I got. This thing's pretty cool. I really love it. And
amazing. Yeah.
You know, and I'm working on the band stuff right now, so it's pretty awesome.
Great. And that's a great way to close this interview as well. I'm sure someone will took inspiration of you and all this amazing stuff you build there. So that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and for your anecdotes. And it's a pleasure to talk to you, man. And hope we can see you in March. I'll be there, of course.
Cool, man. I'll look out for you. Wave to me. Say hi or come up, you know,
of course,
shake my hand or whatever. It's, you know, it's pretty loose with these things. It's easy to kind of talk and stuff. So
yeah, of course. Take care.
All right, man.
Thank you.
All right. Ciao. Take it easy.